Happy Saturday, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Yolanda. I just decided to hop on here for a few minutes. I'm waiting on the grands to get here. I'm on grandma duty today. Yay, I think. Yeah, so I have 7 grandchildren and number 8 is on the way. She's due in September, towards the end of September. So yeah, I have lots of grandchildren and I enjoy every bit of being a grandmama. I love spoiling them and sending them back home to their mommy and daddy. But yeah, yesterday was my daughter's birthday. She turned 31, my oldest. She turned 31 yesterday. And she didn't do anything for her birthday. You know, she's pregnant. That's the one that has the baby coming in September. So I said, well, you know, bring Kelsey and TJ over. I'll keep them today. She pick them up tomorrow. At least give her a day to do, you know, to do what she want. So yeah. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with them. I don't know whether I may take them to the park or McDonald's or something, let them play on the playground or something. I don't know, we figure something out. And I've also invited my 8-month-old grand. So she, yeah. I have another one that's 8 months old, and her name is Zari. So I will have TJ, Kelsey, and Zari today. That should be interesting. So enough about that. Yeah, I just popped on here to speak, you know, chit chat a little bit. As I said before, this is very new to me. And each day I get in front of this camera, you know, it's getting a little bit better. I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable, per se. Yeah, I'm doing this because I want to better myself, basically. You know, I'm tired of limiting myself, thinking that I'm not good enough for this, or I can't do this, or, you know, like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, I'm trying to retrain my mind to stop thinking that way. So I'm putting myself out there because that's the process of growing. You have to come out of your comfort zone. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to come out of my comfort zone. And I know there's a lot of people out here that, you know, that suffers from the same thing, you know, anxiety, just introvert, you know, being an introvert, things like that, you know, just want to kind of hang out in the back and not be seen and what have you. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but you know, I'm 50 years old, guys. I'm 50 years old and I've had tons of jobs. And the reason why I had so many jobs is because I do not want to work for anyone. And I've realized that more and more since the pandemic. You know, my last job that I actually worked, you know, inside of a like brick and mortar or whatever you want to call it situation was 2020. I worked at a hospital, and that's when the pandemic started. It was like around April I was furloughed from my position, and I have not worked quote unquote 9 to 5 since that I've been introduced into gig work. I've been, working delivery apps and things like that ever since. And I've also held a couple remote positions. Now, as far as the remote jobs, they're not for me. I mean, I honestly, I think I would rather go somewhere and sit down in the office rather than working remotely, especially in customer service. I'm speaking of customer service jobs. Now, if I can find a remote position that's not on the phone, oh gosh, that would be like hitting a gold mine. But customer service is pretty rough. It's pretty rough. The perks of working remotely, even in customer service, is you're home. You don't have to worry about gas. You don't have to worry about wardrobe. You don't have to worry about all that stuff. You get up, wash your face, whatever, get yourself presentable, just in case you have to jump on the camera and work. But it's a lot answering calls back to back all day long, with all these different personalities and things like that. And it's just that one you, and you're speaking to hundreds of people throughout the day. It affects your mental. But I really don't see myself doing that either. So, besides being an entrepreneur, which I like being an entrepreneur, I like, making my own schedule. I like working when I want to work, but it's a hustle. And especially if you live in a town that's but so big, the market is getting pretty saturated in my area when it comes to the gig apps. I do Walmart Spark, I do Instacart, Uber. I used to have a DoorDash, but not anymore. But for the most part, Instacart and Spark are my main two. And it's not the same. When I first started back in 2020, it was great. I mean, I could easily make between $800 to $1,000 a week. Now, oh gosh, I don't even want to say how much I make on those apps, but it went down a lot. And I don't know. I'm sitting here trying to figure out, Yolanda, what you gonna do, girl? What's gonna be the next step? Because bills has to be paid and life goes on. So, I said, I'm gonna try the YouTube. I'm not expecting anything really from this. The most I'm expecting from this experience is to build up my confidence, become more comfortable speaking in front of a large audience. And, whatever happens from that, happens. But I feel like just those two things alone will help me with anything else I decide to do in the future. I'm actually seriously thinking about getting back into the insurance industry. I dabbled in life for a little bit. I was licensed to sell final expense insurance, and that was before the pandemic. And at that time, we were door knocking, going to strangers' houses, knocking on doors and trying to throw a little sales pitch and trying to get inside so we can present our product and try to get a sale. And that was rough. Lord knows that was rough. Being an introvert and going to people's houses, knocking on the doors. That's something. That is something else. But I said, that's when I'm trying to condition myself now to get out of that, being fearful of talking to people and fearful of rejection, and being able to accept, criticism, because it's expected. I know everything isn't for everyone. Everyone is not going to like what you're saying. Someone is always going to have something smart to say, and it's okay. It's okay, but that doesn't mean that you stop trying. You just say, well, okay, that's fine. Keep it moving. Just because that person don't like what you're saying doesn't mean the next person is not going to like what you're saying. So, you can't let stuff like that bother you. So, that's what I'm working on right now. And I feel good about it. I'm praying, meditating, and it's not gonna be like this forever. It's not gonna be like this forever. So on that note, I'm not gonna stay on here too long because, like I say, my grandchildren should be pulling up anytime now. But it was on my mind, so I figured I'll come on here and just kind of yab it up a little bit with you. But thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys soon. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.